can we just begin where we are at the moment on Mali? Is your reading of the situation in Mali, of the prospects or desirability of military intervention, of the possible consequences of it, is it much the same as David Gressley has just outlined to us, or do you see things at all differently?
No, I don't see the thing much differently than what David just explained. The ICRC has come out with some public statement on the recent visit of our president in Niger and Mali, having meetings with the authorities and series of interlocutors, underlying the potential consequences, humanitarian consequences of any military/strategic decision on an intervention on northern Mali. So it's of course not up to the ICRC to take any position towards whether or not countries, ECOWAS or others should intervene, but to remind everybody on the potential humanitarian consequences of such a military intervention.
And what do you think those consequences? What do you think those consequences could be?
Well, the consequences could be that, as David underlined it already, that people may flee the place, may take refuge in the neighboring country or in other parts of Mali, and all the displacement process implies humanitarian consequences, such as people being without food, without water, or needing to have access to medical care, without talking about the protection of their home. That's the first. The second is that we are, as ICRC, operating in northern Mali, a quite substantial operation at the time, because the security situation at the time in northern Mali allows it. We just hope that in a view of a military intervention, we will still be able to continue to run this major operation.
Is there a sense, do you think, in which the whole security crisis here is beginning to overtake the humanitarian crisis? It might get in the way of the continuing humanitarian needs we've just been hearing about from David, particularly over the coming months. And because we have different countries perhaps view the security problems differently, but we know that at least one of the groups is Al-Qaeda linked in northern Mali. We've heard that it can so easily is already spilling over beyond Mali's borders as a security issue. There are countries that are very concerned this is a haven for terrorism and so on. All of that in the minds of the policymakers in the international community could come to overshadow the very great continuing humanitarian needs. Do you think so?
Well, that's a potential danger, yes. But I'm not in a position to judge that, but it's potentially an issue that will come up.
And just to jump back from specifically Mali now to the broader Sahel situation, is your analysis of the priorities on the humanitarian front, and I don't know how much of you, David, you could catch of that. Is it again fairly similar? Do you and the big picture thought? Do you think that it is being contained and should in the end be contained reasonably well, if not as well as everybody would have hoped, or do you still have great fears about the humanitarian outcome of this past year?
Well, I have to say that I'm concentrating on Niger and Mali, so I cannot really speak for all the Sahel region and over the food crisis. But definitely, what is worrying us is the potential consequences. I spoke about the potential consequences in Mali of conflict or military intervention, but I didn't touch the fact that, of course, all of this will definitely have consequences in the region, in the neighboring countries, coming over an already dire situation on the food front. So we may expect some difficult months and even years to come in Sahel.
And from what you see as you go about your job, you go about your travels day in, day out, I mean, do you think that people are any better off than they were 3 or 4 months ago, that the aid that has come and the measures that have been taken locally are having effect, or situations being stabilized or not?
Well, it's a bit difficult to make a general statement on that, whether is it better or not. There are some aspects that makes the lives of people better than before. In terms of security, surprisingly enough, for what we could see in the press, the population there is probably having issues about the application of Sharia law. But on the other hand, the security that is provided, a certain level of stability that is provided, is in a way appreciated by the people. Now, this being said, all the public services and government agents mainly have left northern Mali, and all part of this part of the economy has gone. And of course, by time passing by, the people are getting more or finding more difficult to access food, water, and healthcare, essentially because of economical problems. And this is being an issue. We're trying to cope with some of these issues, especially in medical, in running the hospital in Gao, water and providing water and electricity to hospital. But that's only to try to make the people cope with the actual crisis. But it's difficult to see on the longer run what will be the situation. Even more so if the border would close around Mali.
And do you see any progress at all in building up the resilience of the most vulnerable people and communities in Mali and Niger at all, which is one of our major themes here today? Do you think that's being given anything like sufficient attention? Lessons have been learned from previous crises in parts of the world with similar challenges, or not?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Could you come again?
Yes, I can. I'm asking whether from what you see in Niger and in Mali, you feel there is any progress at all in paying the kind of attention that many people feel needs to be paid to building up resilience to prevent, this kind of crisis occurring as it has again this year. Is that, do you share the view that is necessary, and are you seeing anything of it or not? Or do you think it's getting sidelined?
Well, I think that the situation is pretty much different in Niger or in Mali. In Mali, we're really in a specific situation where it's, I would say, too early or not at the right timing to speak about resilience. We're talking about a post-emergency or pre-emergency, depending on how you look at the situation. So we're really in between getting, military and political solution or getting ready. We humanitarians are looking into the potential scenario, the humanitarian consequences. So we're not really in the same pattern as we are in Niger, where a lot of effort have been put in place by the international community, the United Nations system, the country authorities, and the bilateral donors, which seems to be working and to go towards an improved situation. But at the same time, seeing it from Niamey, everybody is talking about Mali at the time and the potential consequences, not only humanitarian then, but the consequences in terms of political and security situation in Niger.